James Lynch here for MMA News with Randa Markos is going to be taking on Mackenzie Dern September 19th at UFC Fight Night. Randa, how's it going? Live from the pool.
Yeah, pretty good. We're just enjoying the nice weather here in Windsor while it lasts.
Yes, how has the weather been recently? Because I see you've been getting a lot of pool time on Instagram.
We've been getting a little bit of rain, but I think we needed it. But it's been so nice this year, despite all the coronavirus stuff. I got to enjoy just being outside, being in the yard and stuff. So it's been nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because the last time we spoke, you thought you might have had coronavirus. You weren't really sure. Were you sick at all after that card or anything like that? You said you're feeling a little bit under the weather, but did you ever end up getting tested? Because I remember you were telling me they wouldn't even test you for COVID-19.
Yeah, they wouldn't even test us here. At the beginning, I guess there wasn't enough tests a day. They were allowed 5 a day or something here. So, I had a severe ear infection on my way back and sore throat and everything, but I got over it. But you never know. They tell you you don't need, people have the coronavirus and don't have any symptoms, and you know what I mean? It's you can't be sure, and without getting tested, you just you kind of freak out in your head and want to stay home and be smart about it.
Yeah. No, well, glad to hear everything's okay. Did that impact training at all? When did you get back into the gym and everything when you had all that stuff?
It didn't really impact the training. It was more crossing the border, because I train across the border and I do everything across the border. So that affected my training a lot. Actually, up until right now, it's been affecting my training. So I've been figuring out ways to train myself and just doing conditioning on my own. And my wrestling coach has been awesome, and we've been working on a lot of wrestling. So I'm doing what I can. We've got to get the job done somehow. So you figure it out.
So no training in the States then for this camp, I guess, because of the border, which makes sense because I live 5 minutes from the Washington border. I can't go over. It's crazy.
Yeah, they've been trying to get my visa done, but for some reason it's taking extra long. So they just messaged me today saying that they approved it. So hopefully I'll be able to cross the next few days. But I've been staying ready. I've been doing this for a really long time. I know what I need to do to get in there. I mean, you can't substitute training partners. So that's a big thing that I'm lacking. But I'm not worried. I'm doing what I can, and I'm not worried.
No, of course, you're a veteran. You're used to being in different scenarios, whether it's ideal training or not. So that's sort of making the most of it there. I imagine this was about the time you wanted to fight, because knowing you and the interviews we've done in the past, you like enjoying some time in the summer, right? I'm sure you wanted to enjoy that and then get back into the cage, or would you have liked to got in there a little bit sooner?
No, actually, I wanted to go in there a little bit sooner.
Oh, really? Okay.
They offered me a fight a little while back, about 2 months or 3 months ago, but they couldn't continue with it because I couldn't get my visa in time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So ended up turning down a fight because of that, and then they gave me this fight. So it actually worked out good in my favor. So
do you remember what card or who you were supposed to fight on that?
It was the girl who was the champ on the Ultimate in Invicta.
Because same thing happened to Kyle Nelson. I don't know if you heard about this. He had a similar problem. He had a fight booked, and then he couldn't get into the States because of his visa. Yeah.
So that's why it's been taking me so long to get back in there.
And you're doing all that by yourself, right? Because you don't have a manager right now.
No, I talked to the UFC and they're doing it.
They're doing it for you. Okay, good. Okay, because that's got to be another level of stress that you don't want to deal with during camp, right?
Yeah, I've been through this before. It doesn't really bother me. It's just the fact that I can't cross that's bothering me. It has nothing, the paperwork and all that is fine. It's not a big deal. It's just not being able to cross has been really, really stressful, but you figure out ways around it. I mean, I've been in worse situations in the past where I couldn't walk at all and I ended up fighting anyways. So this is not a big hurdle in my path.
You're fighting Mackenzie Dern. A lot of women would love to fight her. She's got the notoriety, obviously, coming from the jiu-jitsu world, and she's someone that the UFC has been very high on. You must have been excited to get this fight because this is another big name for you on the resume.
Yeah, I honestly just wanted to fight, and if it's fighting Mackenzie Dern, then I'm taking the fight. But I'm really excited about it. This is a good fight for both of us, not just for me, for both of us. I think we both lost to the same chicks in the past and beat the same chick in the past. So this is a good fight for both of us.
What's it like, though, being put in this position? Because obviously they're high on Dern, kind of like they were against Amanda Ribas in her last fight, and you had to fight her. What's it like being put in this position where I think if the UFC had it their way, they probably want her to win, right?
Yeah, probably, but I like fights like that.
Yeah.
The last fight sucked for me, but I know what I'm capable of, and I'm really excited to go in there, and not just with anybody, so somebody who's got a pretty big name behind her. So to go in there and to get a victory over somebody like that. I'm really excited about it, and hopefully, that moves me up in the ladder.
Yes, and we know what Mackenzie Dern's going to bring to the table, or jiu-jitsu. Do you work a little bit more on that for this camp just because you're fighting her, or do you still focus on your strengths and sort of, play more to that?
Well, I know, we know what she's going to come in with. We know what she's looking for. So I'm using my skills in a way to throw her off of hers. So I'm not really looking to go in there and out grapple her. I mean, that'd be stupid for me to do something like that, to go in there and try to take it to her game. We have strategies and stuff that hopefully will work against her, and I'm preparing for it.
Now, in terms of your camps, I know this is something we've always talked about, is that you train at a bunch of different spots. And so that's sort of been taken away with the fact you can't get across the border. Do you have a head coach, or do you just have certain people that work on certain things with you, whether it's boxing or jiu-jitsu? How have you structured this camp for this fight?
I don't have a main coach or anything, but we're all kind of on one level, whereas I don't know, everybody understands me. My wrestling coach, I've known him since I was a kid, and we understand each other. He understands what I need, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. My jiu-jitsu and wrestling coach, they've been pretty new. I think for the last 2 fights I've worked with them, and we all have our strategies. We all think about what we need to do to get something done, and we work with what we all bring to the table. So there's no one person telling me, hey, you need to do this, because it's impossible, because I go to 2 different places. So it's impossible for one person to know exactly what I did that day and how hard I worked, and you got to be there to know. So you can't really have one person in charge.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And again, it's all catered to you, which is nice. So it's not like you're getting lost in the shuffle in some of those bigger gyms that can happen from time to time. Do you get to work with any MMA fighters, or is it mainly just people that are good in specific disciplines, whether it's boxing or jiu-jitsu or wrestling?
There's a few MMA fighters I've been able to work with, but yeah, and then the coaches get together some girls that I can work with and let them know what they need to look for, or they need to work on more with me. So it is catered to the fighter that I'm about to fight and to the situations that I might be in, so it's kind of I'm not just going in there to grapple today, it's going in there grappling specific situations, specific parts of the game that I might get into. So it's more, everything's catered to what I got to do.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Pretty much the same as my last fight. My Muay Thai coach, Jiu-Jitsu coach, and except my wrestling coach can't be there. So that's the only issue. I don't want anyone to come and risk their job or having to come back and
of course, yeah.
Can't go to work, everyone's got a life, and their life, they have to put that first, and I don't want to put anybody in that situation. So whoever wants to come is coming. So
how's the weight cut going ahead of this fight?
Really good, honestly. I've been really, since being stuck at home all the time, I think I binged for a little while, and then I was you know what, I gotta watch what I eat. So I've been walking around at around 130 pounds. So and I haven't even really been eating healthy. So I'm really I don't know, I'm doing really good. Usually I'm over 135. So I feel good.
You have to win this fight, right? Because the pattern, this is something we talked about. You always, whenever you lose a fight, you win the next one. Is that something you pay attention to? Because it's it's kind of interesting that you've never lost 2 in a row, you never won 2 in a row, at least in the UFC. I think you must be the only fighter in history who's done that. It's just very interesting how all your fights go. Yeah,
I'm pretty consistently inconsistent.
Right.
I'm not sure why this happens. I don't do it intentionally, even though I don't know how anyone can do this. It's just so weird. But coming off a loss, I'm in a different mind state, and I'm not. I feel the pressure's off me when I'm coming off a loss, and I just don't want to go in there and have fun and just fight, and I feel I don't know, just leave it all in the cage kind of mentality when I'm coming off a loss. I wish I could keep that mind state for all my fights. I think I would do so much better, but I don't know how to tune into that every time.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I always find it's when you sort of look at your record, that's sort of how things go. So how do you see the fight playing out? Because obviously Dern's going to try and get this to the ground. I would imagine you're going to want to keep this standing. Is that how you see it playing out, or do you see it? Are you going to try and test yourself on the ground with her?
I'm not looking to test myself on the ground with her, but I am prepared to go to the ground. I think I'm people don't realize like how decent my jiu-jitsu is, but I know what she's looking for. I mean, she's coming off a heel hook. So, when she came off a knockout, she was looking for a knockout. That's just like people tend to do those kind of things. Like, oh, you come off a heel hook, you want another heel hook, or a leg lock, you want another leg lock. But I think that she's gonna definitely try to take the fight to the ground. She's no stranger on the feet. She's got a good overhand right. I'm gonna be prepared for it, and but she also needs to be prepared for my movement, my hands. I'm not. I don't know how this fight's going to go. I can't really predict that, but I know it's going to be a tough fight. I think this is a great matchup, and we're going to give you guys a really good fight.
And I'm sure the confidence is high too with your submission defense, because like you fought Amanda Ribas in her last fight, and she wasn't able to submit you like she did with Paige VanZant. And then also you're, I think, one of two fighters to submit Angela Hill, which has never happened too. So there must be some confidence looking back at some of your past performances.
Yeah, man, I've been around for a long time, and I fought the best. I went in there with Claudia Gadelha, and I was determined to not take the fight to the ground, and I was able to do that. I stuffed her first shot, and she was scared to shoot again. I'm if I want to, I can take the fight where I want if my mindset is there. So I don't know, like it's going to be a good fight.
Yes. No, we're looking forward to it. Kind of what you were saying there, the mentality is you feel like because you lost your last fight, there's not as much pressure because you're like, I already lost. I don't have the pressure of getting a second straight win. Is that sort of how you're feeling, even with the limitations this camp?
It's more like I lost the last fight. I didn't feel like I did what I should have done. I feel like I could have done better, and I feel like I need to prove to myself. And like, I don't know, I'm in a different mindset where I was like, I don't care what people think. It's more like I need to do it for me. And that's what I lose sometimes when I'm coming off a win. You always get this criticism and everything, and you tend to like lose focus on who you're fighting for, and you start fighting for others and your mindset's not there. So I think that's a big part of this.
How many more fights do you have left on your deal right now? Do you know?
Yeah, people keep asking about that. I just signed a new contract. Contract
excellent.
Before I even got this fight. So I'm not worried about where I stand with the UFC. I'm always down to fight. I'm always begging for fights, and they know that, and they know I'm reliable. So I just got a new contract, so I'm pretty happy.
How many? 4 fights, I would assume?
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, and you got to think of it too. Like, you're Canadian. They don't have a ton of Canadians on the roster right now. You're exciting. So I think I think a lot of fighters, they probably know that, like, if you're exciting, they're going to keep you around. Like, Hannah Cifers just fought on the weekend. I think that's her 4th straight loss, but she's people like watching her fight, right? So do you think that plays into it as well? Like, you don't worry about that stuff as much just because they know your fight style is pretty exciting?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why. I mean, I've been around for a long time. Like I said, I don't turn down fights. I take last-minute fights all the time. And I go in there and I give it everything. And whether I'm not feeling up for it or not, I'm not going to step away from a fight. I'm going to try the best that I can with whatever's going on in the situation that I'm in. So, I don't know, that has a lot to do with it. I'm not sure what they're looking for, but I think being reliable is very, very important.
Yes, no, and yeah, they got to give you credit for that. So this new contract, did this start on the Ribas fight, or is it on this fight? Is it the first fight on the new deal?
This is the first fight on the new deal.
Oh, awesome.
They gave me this contract before, before that last fight that they gave me that didn't work out.
Oh, so I see. So they gave you the new contract even before the last fight. So they must have been like, it doesn't matter what happens. We're keeping you in this for the long haul. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's good. And last question, I got to ask you this just because I've been asking all the women's fighters in general about this. What was your reaction to Paige VanZant going to bare knuckle? Because I know you wanted to fight her.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounded like the UFC didn't want to keep her anymore, though. But her going to bare knuckle and the amount of money I heard that she's getting for that's amazing. Good for her. That's tough. She's got a pretty face, and she's not scared about getting hit in the face with bare knuckles. That's pretty crazy to me. But I mean, like, we wear small gloves, and they're not that much protection, but still, a bare knuckle to the face is pretty, I don't know. for that amount of money, I'd probably take the deal too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you would do it if you were given the money, you think?
I think so. I mean, $1 million is a lot of money,
Right.
you know? And, I don't know, maybe.
I like the honesty. And we got to check out this fight. It's coming up here September 19th. It is UFC Fight Night. Randa, I'll let you get back to the pool. But in the meantime, if you got any sponsors or social media or anything you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to say, thank you to all my fans out there and to all the people working through this coronavirus thing. You know, it's been tough. It's been a really tough time, but we're all getting what we need done. And, just stay cautious and protect yourself. And thank you to everybody out there who's been working through this. And I appreciate it. And, and thank you to all my fans.